it up and say, Eliza, you do 1 through 4. Courtney, you do 5 through 6. That is not as effective as doing it as a group. Okay, so you can choose to do it however you want, but I'm going to tell you that it's much more effective if you read the statement, somebody shares their screen, for example, shows the quiz, and then everybody tries to find a standard that will support it and give your ideas. Okay, so I'm really looking for you to have a discussion about these and not just divide it up and try to get it done. All right, it's okay if you don't finish it. If you don't finish it, you'll hear the answers when I go through them. But what I really want you to do is really kind of start to dig into the codes of ethics and start to get familiar with them if you're not already. Another thing is electronic versions of the code of ethics are wonderful. You, of course, won't have them on the test, but you can use them for review. You can use a search feature. So if you're on a Mac, you can do Command F and you can search for a keyword that's in the statement. And then it'll take you to the different parts of the standards that deal with that keyword. Same thing for PC, just Control F, type in the keyword, and you should be able to zone in and not have to keep rereading the whole thing over and over and over. Okay, so some tips to help you with that. Any questions about what we're going to be doing here? True or false, find at least one standard to support your answer. Okay, so I got to figure out how to get you guys in groups and take some time to get to know each other too. So you can start to build that network, right? So I'm going to put you in groups of, let's do 3 or 4. So it'll be groups of 3 or 4. And Annabelle and Damaris, if you don't want to go into group, you don't have to accept the invite. You can stay with me. All right. So I'm going to open up the rooms and I will see you in about 30 minutes. Okay. See what the answers are. Okay. All right. I realized I had 2 different versions of this, so I had to copy my answers over. All right. So this version that I'm looking at, I can't find the one that has all the NBCC answers, so not all the NBCC is in here. I apologize for that, but it'll get us started talking about it. So what I would like to do is I'll just go through them and you think about what the answer is. If you haven't had a chance to do it, just try to think in your head what it would be. All right, so let me share my screen. All right, is that big enough for everybody to see? Make it a little bigger. There we go. All right, so I'm trying to move you guys so I can see you and see this. All right, so here we go. First one, counselors should devise a counseling plan and review the plan frequently with their clients. Thumbs up if you think yes, thumbs down if you think no. What do y'all think? Yes, thumbs up. Good deal. So for my people on video, thank you for your help. All right, so yes, that is true. So we have it both in the ACA and in the NBCC. All right. Counselors may help a client with an unfamiliar issue as long as the counselor intends on receiving training. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Yeah, I would say a thumbs down for sure. All right, so you can't intend on getting the training. You have to be trained. That's the key. Counselors may date, and I already got the answer there, but counselors may date a former client as long as the relationship is mutual, not immediately after seeing the client or while you're seeing the client, which unfortunately does happen. Lots of ethical cases I could talk to you about. So yeah, very much, Courtney, thumbs down. Yes, so this is a thumbs down. You should not be dating your clients. Now, technically, after 5 years, you can, if you're a member of ACA, date, and if you are a member of NBCC or certified by NBCC, it's 2 years, which I don't know about you guys, but I find 2 years absolutely scary, right? Like that freaks me out. I would suggest not dating clients because you don't know if they might need you in the future. You also know more about them at a different level than you would other people. So there's some hierarchical issues there. So just be cautious. 5 years is definitely the minimum I would go. Jasmine?
Yes, I have two questions.
Mm-hmm.
For the one we just covered, number 3,
Mm-hmm.
so we have to be very particular in the language, because like we read it as like yes, because it's formal based on the
Yeah.
year, but because it says as long as the relationship is mutual and not as
Right.
long as it's 5 or 2 years.
No, and so it doesn't say, right? And because
Okay.
it doesn't say, that relationship could be, they're still in a counseling relationship, or they're, well, not, yeah, there could still be in a counseling relationship. It could be 1 month after they terminated. You don't know when the time is. So for NBCC, it's 2-year minimum, and for ACA, it's 5 years. So if it doesn't say that, then you would have to rule it out.
I see. Okay. And
Okay.
I guess the second thing too, that we were talking about is the language in number 2 that says unfamiliar issue, which was very just like vague. So
Mhm.
could you like, I
So
guess,
let's say that you're seeing a client and they come to you and they have selective mutism.
mhm,
Right. And you don't know what that is really, or you haven't been exposed to it. Sure, you can look it up in the DSM, but you haven't had any training in it. You should refer them until you can get training, or you should get training and then take them on as a client.
okay.
Okay. Training and supervision, actually. You're supposed to have training and supervision on it.
Okay.
Okay. When I first started working with individuals who are transgender, I was not exposed really to that. Like that was an area I was very unfamiliar with. And because this was way back when, and like 25 years or so ago. And so with that client, I said, because the client was very insistent, they wanted to see me. And I said, but I don't know how to treat this. I don't know really the best ways. I said, so I need to get some training. I need to get some supervision before we can start sessions. And the client actually waited. And so we did the work. But in that situation, I didn't even charge the client because knew I was learning and I was under supervision for learning about it. So I was like, if you're willing to work with me with my little knowledge, I'm willing to work with you, but I can't charge you for this because I have no idea what I'm doing, right? And so I'm going to get training and supervision along the process. So yeah. Okay. All right. So counselors must enforce the code of ethics. Oh, sorry, Sarah, go ahead.
Oh, that's only just if it's okay to continue this discussion a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I mean, I just don't want to take up too much time, but like, for instance, like something that comes up in my head, I was seeing a client within what's considered specialty now as an intern. And, it becomes very clear that this woman has a kind of classic borderline personality disorder.
Mhm.
And that was not something in my area, yet it's something like I did not terminate with her based on that because
Right.
of all
You just
the
have to,
issues.
right. When you know it, right, your obligation is to try to get training as soon as you can and that you get supervision as soon as you can, right? And you have to acknowledge that limitation to the client, right? You have to acknowledge this is not my area of specialty, but I'm going to do what I can to get caught up. In this day and age with all the virtual trainings, there's no reason why you can't get training even between the sessions, right?
Right. That's
It's
a
on
good
demand.
point.
Yeah.
So like training wouldn't have to be like, I need to go get my DBT
Right.
like,
Certification.
Like it would be like, I'm going to take a basic
Yeah.
teleclass on.
But even now you can get DBT certification online, so it's like, it's a lot of money. So yeah, I'm a DBT therapist. I know. All right. So yes, your obligation is to get training, right? And if you can, you refer to somebody who has the training, but you still go get the training. So it's inappropriate to say, well, I don't have the training and I'm not going to go get the training. Once you identify a gap, it is your ethical obligation to go get training in that area so that should a future client or that client want to see you, that you are able to do it. So you shouldn't be referring on the lack of competence when you were warned you needed that competence, right? Yeah.
So if a client came in and like says, I have a history of BPD, I could say I'll have to refer you out.
You can say that's not my area of specialty.
Okay.
You can say I'm willing to work with you, but I'm going to have to get some additional training. We probably should delay our session maybe by a week so that I can, just make sure that I'm providing you with the best practices. I also want to seek some additional supervision for this as we're working together, and make sure they have a release on file that your supervisor can, share in that information. You should always have a clinical supervisor. Like, mine's still in my pocket. Like, I've been doing this for 30 years and I still have a clinical supervisor, right? Because you can't be all know all. What I get concerned about is if somebody says, like, somebody comes in who is transgender and says, I don't have training in that, so I can't help you, so I'm going to refer you to this other person, and then doesn't take the effort to become educated, then you're crossing an ethical boundary, right? Because then you're intentionally not seeking that training when you know there's populations that you need to be working with and supporting, and that's when you get into the value issue. As counselors, we shouldn't be refusing people service based on our values, right? Very important. Okay, so counselors must help enforce the code of ethics. Thumbs up, thumbs down. What do y'all think? I hope so. Yes, very much so. It's in the preamble, and it's also in C1 D1. So you have to support the code of ethics. If a client cannot pay for services, a counselor may barter with the client. Thumbs up, thumbs down. What do y'all think? Actually, yeah, it's a thumbs up. So I will say that the NBCC strongly discourages it, but ACA, you can do it. It's just, you've got to make sure it's clean, right? It shouldn't be something evaluative. I had a client who lost his job and said he couldn't continue counseling because he couldn't pay for it. And I was like, no, I'll see you pro bono. And he's like, no, I can't do that. He was like very he was like, I can't do that. But he was a painter by trade. And he said, I see that room needs to be painted. Can I paint that room? And we'll figure out like how much that value of my work is for your work. But trust me, if he had done a horrible job painting that room, I would have not said anything. Okay, so I can't evaluate the quality of the work. He painted the room, and it was actually a good job, and we agreed that was equal to so many sessions, right? And that way he felt a sense of, I'm earning this, I'm paying my way. And so you have to think about it from a cultural standpoint. All right, a referral is complete when a counselor provides the client with a list of referrals. Thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you think? Yes, Celeste is right. Thumbs down. So you actually need to follow up with the client. I try to follow up at least 3 times and document that with my clients when I refer them out to something. Even if I refer them to get something or do something, I try to follow up with each session, right? And document that process. Counselors must screen prospective group members. Thumbs up, thumbs down, definitely a thumbs up. But interestingly, we have this ethical obligation, but I don't know how many of you worked in like addiction centers or whatnot. You don't always have the opportunity to do this. So I would suggest that if you are in that situation, like as a school counselor or addictions counselor, IOP counselor, document it, the process and why you had to take that client in no matter what. Like, just make sure it's in your notes that this was, screening was done by somebody else, or it's a mandatory group and there's no screening allowed. Document that so you've got that evidence. Counselors should submit articles to several journals at one time to ensure publication. Yeah, very much, Jen. Yeah, thumbs down. Yeah. And the reason is a copyright issue, right? If 2 journals accept it at the same time, there's a copyright challenge there because they both have the copyright on it. So that's why you can't do that. When providing counseling to 2 or more people in an established relationship, the counselor must clarify who the client is and the nature of the relationship. Yep. Which means I might identify my client as the couple or the triad or the pod if I'm doing polyamorous work, right? Or the individual. I can identify who the client is. It could be a group of people or an individual, but I have to make that clear. When speaking in public, counselors must clarify they're speaking personally. What do you think? Yep. For sure. So I actually have on all of my presentations on my introductory slide, at the bottom of my slide, I say, I am not speaking on the behalf of the American Counseling Association, the Association for Creativity and Counseling. So I say that I'm not representing those groups, even though I'm the president of ACC, even though I'm on the AMCD, leadership, all of it, I don't represent them. I'm not speaking for them. Right now, if I'm doing a presentation like a general meeting for ACC, then I am representing ACC. So I have to declare what my role is and who I'm representing. If you work in a mental health agency, you may see clients as private pay if the client agrees. What do y'all think? I would say, okay. So you can't recruit clients from your agency to see them in private practice, but there are some rules, some kind of, well, they're unique situations. So when I worked at Meredith College as the associate director of counseling, I also had a private practice as a dialectical behavioral therapist. They did not provide DBT services for the women at the college on campus. That was not a service provided by the counseling center. So they did put me on a list of DBT group options, but I was one of many. And the other thing we did is we listed the name of my practice, not my name. So we said Paragon Counseling, not LA Stretch, right? So that they didn't see, oh, I want to go see Dr. Stretch, right? It had to be like a little bit removed so they could come to my practice, but it was something they had to kind of make a decision on their own that they were going. It wasn't like I was like, oh, you should join my DBT group. Come pay me money. So, because your student services aren't paying for that here. So there's some ins and outs. A counselor who disagrees with their supervisor or agency policy must work out the differences or quit. What do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down? It is a thumbs up. Okay. If you stay and they're doing something unethical or inappropriate, you can be held accountable. All right. So staying means you're agreeing with it, you're colluding with it. So you have to know that. I actually just quit a job about a year ago because I did not agree with the practices that were happening at the university. And I didn't think that their DEI work was acceptable at any level. And so I quit because I tried to make changes and I couldn't make changes. Right. And so I had to step away. Sarah?
Sorry, I'm just finding it fun to talk today. So how does anyone work in inpatient mental health? Like that is something that I got out of as another kind of therapist. Like there would be no one left if this was a reality. Like, let's be honest, because our system's broken.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree.
So is this a gray area then?
Yeah. And so you just have to do your best. Like, can you balance your values with what is happening? Can you find some good in it? Can you negotiate what your role is in that and not do things that you disagree with? Or do you find a new career? I mean, that's truly the answer. It's hard. That's a hard question. But we should always try to advocate for change wherever we can. Right. Somebody just had their hand up. Who was it?
I did, but you kind of said what I was going to say. I was like, just, in the school system, like there's definitely a lot of stuff that is going on and does go on, or things that like Wake County requires of me that I don't agree with. And I like to call it just that malicious compliance. And
I like that. Compliance.
You kind of just have to do your best within the confines of what you're given, because like I can't just quit my job. And that won't affect any change if I just quit my job. And so it's more about like, how can I advocate for my kids within the confines of like what the county requires of me.
Yeah. And documenting, right? Documenting what you did, documenting what you tried. So I worked for Johnston school system for a while, and there was a practice that they were doing that I didn't agree with, but I just documented that I wasn't participating in that situation, right? But then push came to shove, and we had a kid that was coming to class with bruises and obvious physical abuse signs, and I made a call to CPS, and you would have thought I had like committed the worst crime ever. I had everybody come down on me, above me. I mean, it went all the way up to the assistant superintendent, who was like, how dare you make this call? I said, I am a clinical mental health counselor who is hired as a contractor into the school system. I have an ethical and legal obligation to make a report, right? And I ended up ending my contract with them because they were just, I couldn't condone that, right? Like I couldn't condone, and their thought was, well, this kid's a hard kid to place, so at least he's got a roof over his head, right? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. right? And so, you know, I could not change it. I couldn't condone it, and I couldn't stay because of that. But there were other things that I was like, I don't like that this is happening, and I'm not going to participate in it. And I'm going to try to advocate for change, but there are limits to what I can do. Right. And recognize that I was probably doing more good being in the system than not in the system at that point. But once we got to the abuse thing, I just couldn't do it anymore. All right. Counselors must assist in arranging for the continuation for clients following termination of counseling. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up. Thanks, Richard. Yep, for sure. And this also includes in death. Right? So you have to have a professional will. A professional will talks about who's going to get your client records, who's going to take over your clients, who's going to notify your clients if you become incapacitated. You have to spell that out. And there's lots of resources online about professional wills. So you need to have a personal will and a professional will. And that professional will has to handle how your clients will be transferred. Counselors must inform clients when the client is involved in research. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Yes, definitely. That's a pretty easy one. Yes, you have to tell them. Counselors may confirm appointments of clients on phone numbers and emails given by the client during intake. This one tricks up people a lot. It's actually a thumbs down. The only way that you can use those is if the client has given permission for messages. So there's a piece missing there. So you can ask, what's your phone number, what's your email? And then you can ask beside it, may I use this for messages? Right? That's a HIPAA requirement. So you can't just take a number or an email or anything off your clients and use it to contact them. You have to have permission for them to use it as a contact. So second step, two-step process. Use of computers and email is strictly prohibited in counseling. I hope y'all all know this is a thumbs down, right? But here's what might surprise you. When I started counseling in 95, this was true. We were not allowed to use computers. Okay. The reason being they weren't secure. Okay. We hadn't figured that stuff out. So this is something that's changed over the time that I've been a counselor. All right. Counselors must always include parents when counseling minors. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs down. All right. And this is where it can get a little tricky because of state laws, right? Different state laws have different age of majority and different reasons why a minor might be treated as age of majority. So you have to know your state laws. But for the purpose of this exam, there are exceptions to when a minor and a counselor have to be, you know, when a counselor has to notify the parents. And boy, is that in the state right now. Here in Virginia, they're trying to do a forceful outing law right now for transgender youth, where the school will have to notify parents. And I have been at the General Assembly multiple times arguing about that. All right, counselors may use PhD in advertising as long as it's a doctorate in counseling. Thumbs up, thumbs down. It's a thumbs up. PhD, PhD as long as the doctorate's in counseling. As long as you have a counseling doctorate, yes, you can use it in advertising. If you have a PhD in history or management or nursing, you can't make people think you're a doctor in that, right? So you have to make sure that when you advertise that you're advertising fairly and appropriately. Counselors may use any testing materials found online. What do y'all think? Yes, very much, Richard. There's some crazy stuff online. So you have to make sure it has validity and reliability. It's appropriate for the population. Counselors need to create a plan to transfer clients and records appropriate to colleague in the event of the counselor's death. I hope you get this one right because I already told you this one. Yes. Okay. Professional will is required. So make sure you have a professional will. Unfortunately, this became very real to me a few years ago. I got diagnosed with breast cancer. And before my surgery, I had to make sure all my paperwork was in a line and had to make sure that it was all there. And I had to go over all my passwords and everything with my person who's my professional executor. And that was very real. But not everybody gets the opportunity to prepare for that, right? So it can happen suddenly. So you have to make sure that people know how to get into your stuff and they can help you and support you as your executor.
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
This was a few questions back. Let me see. So for 17, and I know we had just talked about this of like when like it's a little vague. What are some tips of how to like know exactly what the question is asking? Because for instance, when I read counselors must always include parents when counseling minors, like I kind of thought about how with that, like having counseling with the minor is a private relationship but not confidential because you like the parents have rights. So how can like what are like the key words and like questions that are kind of vague to pick out so that you know like that it's asking for something a little bit more specific even though it sounds vague?
Yeah, I think the key here is always. There's really few always and nevers, short of never have sex with your client, right? Type of thing. So I think when you see always and never, be skeptical, because there's usually exceptions to different rules, right? And so there's usually a lot of gray. So I would say you most likely on the test, you would see something like, which of the following situations would a counselor need to contact the parents of a minor, right? And then it would list out things like, if you had a client who was suicidal, you better contact the parents, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be something like that, Arden.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful because I feel like we were talking about that in our group, and then I know that we were just talking about that as a larger group, that sometimes the questions can be hard and you think it's asking one thing when really it's an asking for another. So like you're saying to pay attention to those like always and never terms.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Counselors providing distance counseling may be subject to the laws and regulations of both the counselor's practicing location and the client's place of residence. What do y'all think? True or false? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Yep. Thumbs up, Melody. Good. So here's really important for you guys to know in North Carolina. In North Carolina, you have to be licensed where the practitioner is located and where the client resides. All right. That was a problem for me when I left North Carolina and moved to Virginia, because I wasn't licensed in Virginia at the time. I was licensed in North Carolina. But because I was located in Virginia, I couldn't continue to see my clients in North Carolina. I literally had to go across the state line once a month and do my counseling once a month, right? Because legally I couldn't provide it. Now, were the boards going to come after me? Probably not. But if something had happened to one of my clients and I'd gotten sued or had a charge, my liability insurance could have refused to support me because I was practicing outside the scope of my practice, because I wasn't licensed in Virginia. All right. So it's usually the liability insurance you have to worry about, not the boards coming to get you. Okay. So just try to practice within the scope of your practice. So now that I'm licensed in Virginia and North Carolina, I can see clients in either state easily. Okay. And if the counseling compact does pass Virginia, that will open up even more states for me. But for now, I'm limited to North Carolina and to Virginia. All right. Oh, an interesting fact. I'm licensed in Virginia and I'm licensed in North Carolina. North Carolina is a counseling compact state, but it doesn't apply to me because I live in Virginia. You have to live in the state where the counseling compact is and practice from that state. So you can't just get licensed in a state with the counseling compact and then be in the counseling compact. You actually have to live in the state. Oh, I love laws. They're so fun. Okay. So counselors may accept clients as friends on their Facebook as long as the boundaries are clearly articulated to the client. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Yes, down, definitely. Okay. So we should keep our personal and professional lives as separate as possible. I actually go to an extreme. This is not the law, but this is what I like to do. I have a personal phone and I have a professional phone. So my client stuff is all on this and my personal stuff's on this. My Facebook's on this, my LinkedIn's on this, right? I try to keep my two worlds as separate as I possibly can. Okay. And that is really helpful. I have a personal email and I have professional emails and I don't cross the two. Okay. I try to keep them separate. Jasmine?
This is more of a curiosity question, just because you mentioned LinkedIn and it being a professional platform, but also kind of personal. What does that look like?
We consider LinkedIn professional, but I would suggest not. Okay, there's a couple of, this is one of those maybes. Okay. So if I was a career counselor and I wanted to help my clients connect with a different network, there might be some justification for adding them to LinkedIn. right? But I would set some boundaries that I wouldn't accept messaging for them because LinkedIn isn't secure in the messaging, right? So piece that's questionable. I also, on my social media accounts, and like my YouTube channel, which for some reason my clients love to subscribe to, I turn off all of the ability to follow, like, comment, all those things, so that they don't inadvertently disclose information on there that maybe shouldn't be disclosed, right? So you have to set the settings up in these social media accounts so that you are protecting your client's current and future self, right? Because people might write things in a moment, but then regret writing it or whatever. So I don't have any comment ability, any liking ability, or anything like that for that reason. Okay. But I definitely am not going to accept them in personal. I had one client who just insisted on texting me in my personal phone because Health Grades was so kind as to publish my personal cell phone number for me online. And so she would write me on my phone. I would then go into my messaging portal because I actually have Simple Practice where people are supposed to message me through that. And I would go into Simple Practice and say, hey, I got your text. Just a reminder, you're not supposed to text me there. I need you to, respond here. And I could have blocked her, but at the time I didn't. I probably should have. But I would always go into that messaging and message her there. Yeah. So we can't control what our clients do, but we have to control what we do. Okay. When providing distant counseling, the counselor must verify the client's identity. What do y'all think? Yes, true. Very much true. And this one's super important, especially with texting. Anybody can get a phone number. You don't even have to be in possession of somebody's phone to be able to send a text from their number. And that's important to know. There are apps that I could know what Jasmine's phone number is, and I could send Richard a message and he would think it was from Jasmine, but it wasn't. I didn't even have possession of her phone. All right. So you can't trust the messages you get unless it's through a secure password protected portal or who you think they are. Okay. Now, if they decide to share their password, that's on them, right? You can't control that. But you can use code words, like they have to start or end each message with a code word that you've agreed on as an identifier, or you use a password protected portal to communicate with each other. Okay. So be really careful of that. And you have to, when I first do my intakes, you have to show me an ID, a government issued ID that I take a screenshot of, and I put that in the record to show, especially with insurance, that I verified and it's not insurance fraud, right? Who the person is. All right, counselor may refer a terminally ill client who wishes to explore an end of life on the basis of counselor's personal values. So you got a client who wants to die and has the means to die. Can you refer them out? What do y'all think? True or false? I'm kind of with you, Richard. Yep. So this one's debatable though. So we've got some conflicts, and this is all true of ethics, right? Is it suicide? Is it end of life? Like, how are we differentiating these? We haven't gotten tremendous clarity on this. The previous code of ethics said that we had to support people in end of life. They changed that in the 2014 code. So it's a struggle. But you have to really think about, am I doing this because I'm not competent in this area, or am I doing this because I don't agree with or support based on my values? That's a big difference. Okay, big difference. So you have to make that distinction. All right. A violation of the ACA code is both ethical and legal. I already have the answer mark here. It's false. According to the preamble, it's ethical. Now, this doesn't apply to all states. In North Carolina, the ACA code has been codified. It's part of your law. So it is both ethical and legal. But in general, the code of ethics is viewed as ethical unless it's been codified. So on this test, because it's a national test, you're going to say it's ethical, not legal. Okay. Counselors may refer clients when the lifestyle contradicts with the counselor's religious beliefs. National test, right, Jaya? No, not happening, right? So, false. Counselor may check out a prospective client on social media prior to meeting with them. What do y'all think? No, Eliza, right? Bad, big no-no. All right, yeah, Courtney, thumbs down. Right. So you need to respect your client's privacy. Here's what I like in this too. And this sometimes helps people think about it. All right. Yes, the social media is there. Yes, their Facebook's there. Yes, I could easily look at them. Are you going to go to your client's house, stand on the sidewalk and look through their windows and make any kind of assumptions about them based off what you see? I certainly hope not. Okay, that's creepy. That's weird. All right, so it's the same thing with social media, right? Because as we all know, what most people put on social media is not their true self. It's what they want people to perceive them as. So to use anything on social media as a clinical perspective is not ethical. Okay, you need to get your information from your client. Now, does this mean that my teenagers don't want to share their Instagram or show me something they did? Sure, no problem. But it's them sharing it with me, not me seeking it out without their permission. Respect their privacy. Okay. All right. Counselors may reply to negative reviews on the internet to clarify issues. What do y'all think? True or false? Down. Okay. Because if I respond to Richard, my non-client, but I don't respond to Mary Winston, my client, then I've outed Mary Winston, right? Like anybody can figure that out. So don't respond to anybody. A couple of my students have heard this story, I think, but I had a horrendous Yelp review for years. I swear to you guys, that thing sat there for 15 years at least. And what had happened was I was seeing a teenager who had borderline personality disorder, and her best friend had borderline personality disorder. So my client was starting to do well. So best friend decided that I needed to be her counselor too. I, of course, said, no, can't do that. It's, too close. You're too enmeshed. But hey, why don't you go see this other person in my practice? They're amazing. They're wonderful. I became the devil incarnate. Okay. I was the most horrible counselor on earth. And she wrote a very long rant about what a terrible person I was, that stayed on Yelp for years, because at the time I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't take it off. Now, unfortunately, my client decided to take matters into our own hands. And so they had a Yelp war where they were going back and forth in comments about what was going on and disclosing way too much information. Now, I was doing DBT with my client, so I was like, is this emotion regulation? Is this distress tolerance? Is this mindfulness? And my client was like, no. I'm like, do you want your former or your future employers to see this information? Now, she could withdraw her comments, but we couldn't take her friend's comments down, right? So she was able to withdraw. So I helped my client understand this wasn't the best way to solve this dilemma, but talk about sitting in distress, have somebody write nasty things about you. It's a very interesting state of being when it's not true. That's what they're saying. Okay. Counselors who maintain a website must provide contact information on how an individual can file a complaint or verify credentials. True or false? Yes. And those links have to work. That's the other thing. So you have to make sure that if you put a link or a phone number, it has to be valid and it has to work. Richard?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a quick question. Does that have to be a specific link, or can you just link to your personal disclosure statement that has that in it? Or does it? Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can do it because the information's in your PDS. Now, if you are a member of NADAC, okay, NADAC is the National Alcohol and Drug Counselors. They actually require that you link directly to the board. So their ethics is a little different. But for NBCC and ACA, yes, just have something that has a way for them to verify your license and check it. So that's what you got to do. All right. And then I just wanted to go over the preamble, because if you think about these core ethical principles, you can answer almost every ethical question that comes your way. All right. So really understand what is autonomy, what is non-malfeasance, beneficence, justice, fidelity, and veracity. Make sure you understand those concepts, because if you've got those, they will help inform everything else and help you answer these questions. Okay. And these are from Kitchener originally. Okay. Questions about the ethics? All right. Okay, so I want to say that. I think we're at a good place to do lunch. Y'all mind if we do lunch 10 minutes early and come back 10 minutes early? Does that work for everybody? Okay. All right, so let's do that. We're going to take an hour break for lunch. So I will see you guys about 1:20 then Eastern, and get something to eat, go for a walk, be kind to yourself. See you soon.
Sorry, can you repeat that time?
Yes, on 1:20 Eastern.
1:20. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So again, for those of you just coming back, we are going to play Kahoot, and this Kahoot is going to be what theories don't fit. So you're going to get 4 items, and you have to choose the item that doesn't fit with the others. Okay. So if I said blue, red, green, banana, you would choose banana, right? Because it doesn't fit. The others are colors, and that one isn't. So the game code is 9192347. You can also scan the QR code. Baby bomb. Oh, that's a new one. That's cute. Yes, you do have this. Good positivity. Kelly, I did my dissertation with a baby in my lap. Ren actually learned how to type his name before he wrote his name, and I always said it was because I did my dissertation. Wow.
He went to class at like 2 days old.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He's
I
gonna
had
have a little graduation cap himself.
Yeah, I had a big research exam with Dr. Baker at State that was due. And of course, I had the baby early. So I had the baby on Saturday, and I was supposed to have the test on Tuesday. And Dr. Baker's like, you have until Friday. And I was like, what? You know, I was like, why are you forcing me to come in? And then I asked him years later, I was like, why did you make me come in right after having a C-section to take the test? He goes, I knew you knew it. I knew you knew it then better than you would possibly know it after weeks of sleep deprivation. So I was like, okay.
Tell me you're a man that's never had a baby without telling me you're a man that's never had a baby. I've been like, sure, be there in my diaper with my pumping stuff. See you there.
I couldn't even drive. I'd had a C-section. So my ex-husband had to bring me with the baby.
God.
Yeah, it was quite the endeavor. All right, so we're about to get started. Again, we're doing, we're going to be looking at 4 items, one of which doesn't belong. So 3 of the items will belong to one theory, and 1 of the items will not belong to that theory. All right. So go ahead and hop in. If you're not already in, you'll be able to join us here as we get started. All right, what doesn't fit? So we have life stages, developmental crises, relational cultural theory, and critical task, which doesn't belong. All right, good job. Most of you got it. Relational cultural. All these other ones are Adlerian. Right? These are all Adlerian. They can also be Erickson. You could say either one, but they all belong together. Developmental psychology. Trying is in the lead, followed by Joyful Jail. My voice is starting to go, so I'm going to let y'all read. If anybody needs me to read them, let me know. Okay, so the correct answer is power analysis. So actually all of these are Adlerian, and this one is not. That's more feminist. Baby bum is taking the lead, followed by ABC. So if you're just coming back, the game code is at the bottom here, 9192347. You can join us in process. So this one is CBT, and the rest of these are behavioral. ABC's taking the lead. Okay, so problem saturated stories or narrative. The rest of this is solution focused. Baby Bum and Joy Joy are next in the lead. Okay, this one's psychoanalytic. The rest are family systems or systems theories. Okay, so cognitive restructuring is, cognitive theory, internal dialogue, rehearsal experience, exaggeration. Those can be a couple of different ones, but probably more Gestalt-ish. Yeah, we'll say Gestalt. Yikes is taking the lead, followed by High. Yep, style of life is more Adlerian. The rest of these are more like WDP, logotherapy style. So behavioral and the rest are Adlerian. I took the lead from Yikes. So social action definitely came well after developmental and psychoanalytic. Way after that. Yikes and ABC are back in the lead. So all of these are existential. This is Adlerian. The reason we do this is because if we can recognize the words associated with the theory, then we can find the right answer. So it's all about finding the keyword. This is family, this is behavioral and cognitive behavioral. D is moved up. Early recollections is Adlerian. The rest of these are family systems. Carrie Ann is coming up from the ranks. Okay, so Michael White is narrative, Insoo Kim Berg and Steve DeShays are both family, so they all fit into the neo therapies. I can't talk. So the newer therapies, and Albert Ellis is, of course, classic with REBT. I had the chance to meet Ellis right before he died. It was a big disappointment. He was kind of a mean man, very mean, misogynist. It's kind of depressing to meet your like hero and then find out, oh, not so much. But I still like his theory. So, you know, sometimes you got to separate the theory from the person. All right, so lifestyle assessment, that would be Ed LoriAnn, and the rest of those are family. Carrie Ann's moved into the lead. Unconditional positive regard is, of course, Rogers, person-centered, and the rest of these could either be reality therapy or logotherapy. A, B, C. This, on the other hand, was one of the nicest theorists I've ever known. He has passed recently, but he is amazing. And that is Dr. Glasser. So reality or not, choice theory is his, but he was like a grandfather to everybody. We'd all sit around him at ACA on the floor and listen to him tell stories. He was just amazing. So I'd skip sessions to just listen to Dr. Glasser talk. He was so fun. ABC's moved up, or holding steady, actually. Oh, this one makes you think a little bit. What do these have in common? So there's actually a division that covers these theories, the Association for Humanistic Counseling, person-centered, Gestalt, existential. So those are all humanistic, and feminist is one of the newer. Baby Bum is back in the leaderboard. So all three of these are cognitive behavioral, and this is a narrative approach. ABCs, hold on. We're counselors, we should all be working from this theory ultimately. So these are all person-centered, and this one is solution-focused. Good job. Hey, Nadia, nice to see you on the board. Main one's one of my favorite theories. Big fan of Gestalt. And exception questions would be solution focused. ABC, yikes, and Nadia in the lead. All right, meta frameworks is a newer theory. The other ones are narrative. So meta frameworks you'd probably see in feminist or some systems work. Carrie Ann has moved back up. All right, so empty chairs, Gestalt, all of these are cognitive behavioral. We got this, is on fire, moving up. All right, so we've got a lot of systems people, and then we have Arnold Lazarus with multimodal therapy. These were contemporaries of each other. They worked together, and then one of them split off from the other. So the three are psychoanalytic, and early recollections is of LoriAnn, who studied under Freud and then broke off from him. They had a big fight. Did not agree about social interest being part of the concept. Oops. Oh, there it goes. All right, so these are all person-centered, and this is, of course, feminism and systematic work. ABC, you were rocking. All right, so these are narrative, and then we have paradoxal, which is, telling the client to do the opposite of what they are thinking, like, and usually in some sort of absurd way. So that would be more cognitive behavioral. Just a few more. All right, dialectical behavioral therapy is a cognitive behavioral therapy. The rest of these are solution focused. Oh, we got this. You're catching up. You're doing good. Keep it up, Nadia. I studied this theorist when I studied sand play for a very long time. So a lot of sand play therapy is based in collective unconscious, archetypes, and shadows. Narratives would be with Michael White, narrative therapy. So Carl Jung are these other three. Another person who thought it was okay to sleep with their clients, by the way. He was very well known for that. All right, so quality world, WDEP, and self-evaluation are all reality therapy. Transference would be psychoanalytic. We got this. Good job. All right, so these three here deal with family systems, and I don't remember what collaborative empiricism is. I'll have to look that one up. That one's, I don't remember which one that one is. Probably narrative, but I need to check. ABC. Look that up before we're doing this. So all of these are with, could be Freud, could be Adler, they both worked in that. And then choice theory is Glasser with reality therapy. And collaborative empiricism is actually cognitive behavioral. I really forgot that. So it's cognitive behavioral from that last one. Just a few more. Not the only one that uses it, but feminism would be this one, and then a choice and reality therapy. Yikes is on fire. Nadia is taking the lead. Okay, so these three are multimodal therapy, all Arnold Lazarus, and of course this is cognitive behavioral. ABC comes back. Just a few more. Okay, so all of these are behavioral, and this is, can be systems, can be feminist. Yikes is taking the lead. All right. So all of these are narrative, and this one is behavioral. Shuffling, Nadia's back in lead, followed by yikes. All right. So all of these could be cognitive, and externalization would be narrative. ABC coming back in, being persistent. Next, our second, next to last one. Okay, so dream interpretation is psychoanalytic. These guys are all cognitive behavioral. Last one, ABC and Nadia holding on to the lead. Okay, so searching for unique outcomes would be narrative. The other of these would be existential. So let's see who's on the podium for this one. Third place is Yikes. Second is Nadia. And first place is ABC. Good job. And then third and fourth are D and Carrie Ann. Well done. It was kind of cool to see constant change in the leaderboard. That was nice. So, all right. So that is theories. And again, I just want to remind you, why are we doing this? Why are we studying it like this? Because if you can identify what theory the prompt is talking about, you can identify what the right answer is, right? If you see words like positive regard, unconditional acceptance, congruence, you're going to look for something person-centered in the answers, right? If I see something about restructuring, beliefs, you know, things like that, I'm going to look for cognitive, right? So the more you can think of word association, the better position you'll be to capture the right answer. So study your word association. Another great study strategy is when you're studying your theories, write cognitive behavioral theory and write down every term you can think of that goes with that. What theorists come up to mind, what interventions come to mind, just make a list, right? And then same thing for reality, for existential, for Adlerian, just try to make a list. I don't know, does state still use Corey and Corey books for theory? Okay, I know most programs do. Alexa, I can't remember if they use Corey and Corey in Chicago or not, but that is a great book to study with. Chapter 15 in it is one of your best resources. In chapter 15, it has an overview of each of the theories. Like, what does that theory believe about human nature? What is the theory's main techniques? What are right? So that's a great resource for studying. If you also have the student manual that went with the book, that's a great study strategy too. There's lots of quizzes in the student manual, and you can practice with that as well. Okay, so little tip. Not supposed to tell you, but the Counseling Theories book with Corey also happens to have a PDF copy floating around on the internet. Just saying, if you don't have it, just saying. Okay, so it's Counseling Theory. I think I have it downstairs. Let me tell you what the actual name of it is. But it's Gerald Corey with a G, and Marianne Corey. So Corey and Corey. Theory and Practice of Counseling and Psychotherapy. Theory and Practice of Counseling and Psychotherapy. It's the most popular theories book. It's the one that most programs use. Not all. Right. Exactly, Jen. That's what one of the editions looks like. Yep. So I'm going to tell you how old I am. I have the second edition. So I'm kind of old. That's the one I used when I was in school. So it's a little outdated. Alexa, what do you need?
In your opinion, how effective is that the purple book?
The purple book, Rosenthal's is good. I mean, it is. It's just you have to remember that the test has been redesigned since his last edition. And so it's based off the KCREP standards and not off the NBCC domain. So there's some information around assessment and diagnosis and intake and the process around therapeutic process that I don't think he captures as well. And that's why we wrote our book, because we wanted to have a study guide that was written around it. But I'm pretty sure Rosenthal is going to redesign his and come out with something similar. But for right now, it's still still good practice. You're just missing some of that intake assessment, appraisal, diagnosis that I don't think is covered as well. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Yeah. There's the Angel put it in there. Shh, I don't know anything about that copyright issue there. Ignoring it. Okay. Moving on. All right. So now we're going to break out into breakout rooms one more time. And well, we're going to do 2 more activities in breakout. So the first one we're going to do is a theory game. It is in your folder already. It's called the theory game. So y'all can see that. I think am I still sharing? Yes, screen 3. There we go. Share. So theory game. Okay. So the theory game is right here. So make sure you go ahead and open that. And then I would recommend, like I said before, not trying to do this on your own, but actually working together as a team, right? So you've got a list of all these different terms, right? And so your goal is to put them in these columns. All right. And I've given you hints. I tell you how many words are per column. So 9, 6, 5, 4. So that's how many words you should find that fit that. Okay. Now, if you want to divide up a little bit and say somebody's going to try to tackle the LoriAnn and then y'all talk about it, it's fine. But just make sure you talk to each other, right? Talk through it, say why you think those things are in there. And then when we get back together, I will give you the answers and I will also put the answers in the post-class material folder for you. Okay. Do we understand what we're doing? So same thing, you're going to get in groups and you're going, and I'm going to recreate the groups, put you in a little bit larger groups so that you can work on this. And I want you to get to know each other too. So take this as a networking opportunity. Who are you? Where are you located? Because you never know. You might have a future person that helps you get a job or starts a practice with you. You never, ever know. So take advantage of this opportunity network as well. All right, I'm going to recreate the groups. There we go. Angel and Jessica, don't feel the need to join unless you want to. You're welcome to join a group if you want to, but you can also stay back with me if you want. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to open the rooms and I'll be popping around in the rooms just to say hi and, you know, see how you're doing and see if you have any questions. Okay. There you go. Hey, Jessica.
Hi.
Hey, you had to leave early yesterday, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I will make sure that you get the recording. I'm going to send it to Dr. Baker, but if you want to email me directly, I'll make sure you get the recording too.
Okay. Thank you.
You have my email?
Yes, I do.
Okay, it's super easy. It's LoriAnn Stretch at gmail.com. Couldn't be any easier than that.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm nursing a back injury, so the sitting is like, oh. Long days.
Oh, Jessica, I just saw that you messaged me, not Dr. Stretch. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
The Zoom was so confused. It's okay. Did you get it? You get it, right?
Yeah, I did.
All right.
Did you guys get the folder with all the information in it? Do you want that?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much. And I
You
already
got it already?
Yep.
Okay, good. Good resources to have in your future teaching days.
That's what I'm thinking.
There's a lot of games and I play a lot in my classes.
Got you. This is so cool.
All right, y'all can hang out. I'm going to go jump around the breakout rooms and just check on everybody and make sure they're good.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Hi, I'm just checking on you. You good?
Just getting started.
Okay.
Okay.
Welcome back. All right.
Stretch.
Yes.
I would say it was a great exercise, but remembering the name of these famous theorists, can you give a trick or something for that? It's
Yeah.
so
It's a lot. So again, what I would do, Jay, is I would like write Albert Ellis and I would write some key terms that connect to Albert Ellis, like REBT, shoulding, masturbation, right? I would write those out and I would just review them. You know, if you learn by kinesthetic, write it out over and over and over. Just keep writing the
like
same.
I was not able to remember Joseph Wolf. I don't know what he gave.
Who is it?
Joseph Wolf.
Oh, Whoope. He was behavioral. Whoope. He was behavioral. Yeah. And so, you know, just try to remember as many as you can. Don't like, you know, again, remember, you don't have to know everything to pass. You just need to know something. So if you can even just remember Whoope was behavioral, that can be a good start. Okay. So yeah. All right. So let's take a look at this. You guys can hopefully see my screen. If you can't, let me know. So this is what you started out with. A few of the groups I mentioned, I really recommend, especially if you're a kinesthetic learner, taking these and cutting them out, right? And then moving them around and practicing, like getting them in the right order with the right group. So you start to associate with them. That's one of the great ways. If you learn by auditory, record yourself, you know, listing off who goes with what group and listening to it in the car as you're doing dishes or something like that. So know your learning style and try to tap into that learning style. Okay. So let's take a look at the answers. And I put this in the post-class materials in your folder already. So you already have a copy of it. So I'm not going to read them all, but you can just take a look at this. And see what some of these were. And then the second page, it's right here. Okay. Now, there are some terms like coaching, for example. We coach in behavioral and we coach in CBT. So that might cross over. So don't, you know, if you know that something crosses multiple theories, it's okay. It might just mean slightly different things under those theories. Don't worry about that detail of it. Just know where it could go. Okay. But again, I've given you the answers. The answers are in the folder. So just go into the post-course materials and you have this sheet to help you practice and study. Okay. Any questions?
Well, like we found in the book that Lazarus was related to cognitive therapy, but he falls under behavioral here. So
right. Yeah. And again, there's some like Albert Bandura that can be placed in either one.
Okay.
Okay. But most of the questions, it's going to be enough for you to know CBT or behavioral. You're going to be able to narrow it down with the questions. So as long as you can get it that far, you're probably good. Okay. Any other questions, thoughts? Okay. Hope that was helpful. All right. So there's that one. The next one, this is a new activity for me. So you guys are my guinea pigs for this. You're going to try this out. All right. I'm going to put you back in groups. And for years, I've been trying to figure out how to do this matching exercise. And I found this new tool called No Word. I don't know if any of you've played with it before, but it's my new tool that I like. Hopefully it'll work. So you're going to go to playnoword.com. You can, I'm going to put you in groups, but actually you can just do it online if you want. But these are the codes, right? So I'm going to click on No Word. Gonna open it up. And when I open it up, I'm gonna copy the code, say for this first one, copy. Gonna go here and I'm going to go to play or play now. I can do enter code. Whoops, no, I don't want to hit play. Sorry, wrong thing. Hit enter class code and you enter the code, hit go. Yay, it's me. You're in the right place. And then I recommend doing multiple choice. Okay, you can choose, sometimes you can change this. This one I've got it set for multiple choice. And what you do is you click on the game, start game. And then it gives you a definition and you have to choose which one of these it is. Okay, so you can do it as groups or you can do it individually. Up to you guys how you want to do it. So I will put you in groups and I will let you decide if you want to do it as a group or if you want to do it individually. You can also choose which ones you want to work on. Right now, I'm going to try to add more. I just haven't had time, but as I add more, I'll put the notes I'll add to this document so you can see it. So you can come in and see if there's new ones that have been added. Okay. So we're just going to do this for about 20 minutes. So you're going to break out into groups so you can practice this. And like I said, when you're in your group, you can decide if you want to do it individually, if you want somebody to share their screen and y'all play together. It's whatever works best for you. Okay. So let's recreate. All right, here we go. Thanks, Angel, for putting that up in the chat.
Sure.
This is my new toy I found this week.
I honestly, oops, where's my camera? I honestly very respect all the tools you have so far, and they are new to me. So I need to pick it up. Yeah, they all need yeah. So it's very good.
Play no word.
Play no word.
Right. They had good tutorials and stuff on it. You can get a free version, but it's limited in what you can do, right? So I went ahead and got it was $45.
Oh.
You know, so a year. So I was like, okay, I can do that for $45. You know, it's a great resource.
It is. Wow.
Yeah, and you can do it so that they have to type in the answer. It gives you, like, if you do the other option, it tells you the first letter, but that's kind of hard when you got like this many words, right? So you don't know what it is. But so I did multiple choice for all these.
Of course. Wow.
Yeah, I use this. I use Quizlet sometimes.
I do Quizlet more.
Yeah,
Wow.
Kahoot, quizzes, Jamboard from Google.
Oh, yeah. Jamboard, yeah.
Yeah, Jamboard I use a lot. I use Flipgrid.
Well, we have to. I'm doing that right now. It's, oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I teach in the summer I teach an intensive on grief counseling at Chicago School, and Flipgrid is, I have them post like articles and videos and, you know, just anything that they find they get to post to Flipgrid, and it's kind of a cool repository for all that.
Yeah, I'm doing this Flipgrid right now with my practicum class with Dr. Nassar. So I have to do this every 2 weeks. So it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Flipgrid. Oh my God.
Yeah, the thing is, you got to make sure that the technology is transparent and that people aren't so worried about the logistics of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, I'll bounce around and see what they're doing.
Okay.
How's it going? Well, if it helps you any, when I was practicing last night, I missed a few. So all right, welcome back. All right, so just to go over a few things. Practice, repetition, practice, repetition. All right, so I've tried to give you several different resources, quizzes, Kahoot, worksheets, documents, and I'm going to give you some more Kahoots to practice as well. And now you have No Word as well. Okay. So be sure to check back in the Dropbox for No Word in about 2 or 3 weeks. I'm hoping to have some more sets uploaded for you. So you can come back and there'll be new codes hopefully added so that you can play with those words and see how they are supporting you. As you can see, this is the outline, right? Here's the prep folder. Here's the outline for the NBCC content. Make sure you're hitting on those areas because that's how the test is based. Make sure you're looking at ACA Association Code of Ethics and the National Board of Certified Counselors. Because most people in their classes learn about ACA, but not as much about NBCC. But this is an NBCC test, so you need to be familiar with the NBCC code. I have created links here for the Kahoots that we didn't have time to do, so you can go in and play those Kahoots. These links will only be good through March 3rd. That's a limitation of Kahoot. It's not something that I like, but it's something they set up, so I can only assign it as far out as March 3rd. If, however, you go in and play them before March 3rd, my understanding is you will have access to them through your app. Okay, so it's important to maybe go and play each one of these at least once before the March 3rd cutoff. All right. And so you should have, and I put all the answer sheets for the ethics and for the theory test. Those are in the post-class materials for you. So you should be able to access those. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Yes, go ahead.
You'll be uploading this document.
Yeah, I'm uploading this. I was just about to say that. So you were right on target. Yeah. So I will upload that to the folder as well. So you'll be able to see those links. Okay. Questions?
I asked it in the chat, but could you also put the links to the Kahoots that we play together?
Oh, yes, I totally can do that. I'll add those to these two.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Happy to do that. Good point. Thank you. All right. So I would like to hear from a couple of you. What was helpful and maybe what wasn't? What did you like? Give me some feedback. I love feedback. Alexa knows this. I usually make everybody do takeaways. So, Jasmine. Go ahead, Alexa.
Oh, always, you're a wealth of information. Thank you so much. I always learn a lot from you. I always find everything you do incredibly helpful. There was a lot of information on here that it was my first time hearing. So thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
I just wanted to say I think Kahoots because they were really fun and like kind of the competition of it was fun and then it was a lot of information. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it vacillates, Nadia. Some people get totally stressed out by the competition and some people thrive on the competition. So I understand there's two schools of this.
Right. And thank you again for doing this. This was awesome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think the variety of ways that things have been presented and just kind of that was very helpful.
Yeah, trying to hit different learning styles and strategies. Okay. Anybody else?
I just have a quick question.
Yeah, Angela, go ahead.
I agree. I love the different learning styles. That has truly helped me a lot instead of just reading the material. The visual, and I love the idea that you gave about taking the keywords and putting them with the theorists and then recording ourselves and then listening to it.
Yep.
That is really going to help me a lot. So I really appreciate everything that you've provided us with today.
Thanks. All right, Koshonda.
Yes, where will we be able to find the recording?
So I'll put the recording in the chat as well. So I'll put that in that folder as well, probably as an MP4. So you should be able to access it there. It's going to be too long for YouTube, so I'll just put it in the folder for you.
Okay, thank you.
Others?
I think even I would agree with what everyone said. The Kahoots were really helpful because that was something new for me, and practice the quizzes. Like it was really helpful, and something better than reading the purple book. Because to be very honest, Dr. Stretch, it was giving me anxiety to even open it and read all the theoretical material.
Yes.
So yeah, it was very helpful to practice these quizzes.
Yes. So practice as many questions as you can. Okay. Practice as many questions. And if you decide to buy the prep book we just put out, you're going to have access to 750 practice questions. And those questions are written like the test, because I've been trained as an item writer. And so I made sure all those questions aligned with the test and the way the item writers write their questions. So it's spot on. And you get more glossaries through that as well. So some more terms to practice. Okay. So one final thing, you do not have to pass all the sections of the NCE. So if there's something that's a little bit not your thing, it's okay. Focus on your strengths. Also look at how the test is broken down on the outline and focus on the areas that are going to give you the most points, right? So focus on your strengths, focus on where you can get the most points. Kayla?
I think I put this in the chat. I saw the outline for like the NCE, the official one, but I was wondering if like yours with the links to the Kahoots is going to be in the Dropbox.
I'm going to upload that as soon as we finish.
Okay.
Add those other, I want to link the professional orientation and the theories, what don't fit. I'm going to relink them.
Because for some reason I couldn't like get back to those Kahoots in my app. So I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I'll make sure you have access to them.
How do we know what a passing score is?
Oh, great question, Jen. So you don't until after the test. All right. So each test is using an algorithm that is calculating the passing score based off of the weight of the the question. So each question is designated easy, intermediate, or difficult. And so the more difficult questions, the lower the cutoff score, the less difficult questions, the higher the cutoff score. So the score ranges, it differs, right? For any of you that are at schools that use the CPCE, and if they tell you that the cutoff score is, say, 70, I want you to let me know that, because they're not doing it right. Because the difficulty of the test changes with each test administration, so they can't base it off of one flat score. And I know there are some schools that are still doing that, although I'm on a personal mission to change that throughout the country, because what they should be doing, like Alexa and them are at Chicago school, and they use a standard deviation. Like you have to be within one standard deviation of the national mean, and that is a more reasonable cutoff. So just saying, if you have a school that's using a specific cutoff, that's problematic because the test doesn't work that way. And I can be an advocate for you. I will be happy to call your department chair and let them know that that's not right. All right. So because that's not the way it should be being done. For the NCE, it vacillates. I've seen it as low as 68 and as high as 128. It just depends on the difficulty of the test. Okay. All right, Kayla.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to take my thing down.
Oh, no, you're fine. The title of my book is, let me pull it up again for you guys so you can see it. I'll share my screen. Because I have never been so proud of something like this. Took forever. This has been 18 months in the progress. It has been a huge ordeal. So this is our book that's coming out, National Counselor Exam, Counselor Preparation and Comprehensive Exam. I'll celebrate one other thing about my book that I'm super proud of. Every single person who contributed to our book is a minority in some way. And so we had a lot of LGBTQ writers and BIPOC. So I'm super proud of the fact that we were able to come together as a writing group and create this. So it's something that's really exciting. Okay. Yes.
Dr. LA, I'm sorry. We can buy this now?
You can pre-order it now. It'll be out in March.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. March. Yeah, Angel. Yeah, we're going to talk about that 70 thing. Okay. Other questions, concerns, thoughts?
I have a quick question. Is the recording going to be placed in the after class
Yes.
course material folder. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in there, and it will be there for you to use in study groups or whatever you need. Okay.
Thank you so much for everything. This was very helpful.
Good. Yeah, it's exciting. I love doing this, and I do this free of charge every year. This is my pro bono thing. I do this to support the Chi Sigma Iota and support you all as new professionals. It's super important to me to mentor and to bring you into the profession, and I can't wait to have you as colleagues. So do not hesitate to reach out. I also was going to grab my LinkedIn. In case you're not already linked in with me, you can link in with me. I'd love to have you in my network. If I could get it to go over here to the chat, I would. There it goes. And so don't hesitate to reach out. And good luck. Pass that exam. And I'll be around if you need anything. I'll stay on for a little bit if others have questions. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
I had one more question. Sorry.
Yes. No, you're not. No apologies. What's up?
Just because I'm, not in school anymore. Is there any way I could get like an email maybe or something just in case I have like questions while I'm doing my licensure? Because I did like the school counseling track, so I feel like there might be some stuff that I don't know about getting my license.
Yeah, no worries. Happy to help. And my email's really easy. It's my name and Gmail.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Kayla. Good luck. Sarah?
Thanks.
I have an anxiety fueled question.
Okay.
That like is really hard to give an answer to. I know that. Like, so by doing this prep course and by doing like having taken the courses and like, doing some studying, like, do I really need to